Of course, fictional races and the way they're positioned by and treated in these stories is a part of this.
So the Mon Calamari and Nautiloans are positioned and treated as being oppressed? When does that happen in the movies? Or do they represent the real world somehow? Where's the racism?
But even stuff like this is indisputably a mediation of real-world attitudes and ideas about race, alienation, Orientalism, and so on.
Oh, so the Wookiees are indisputably a mediation about Asian puppies and how we eat them. That's what I thought too. Pog, honey, that's not why or how George made the Wookiees.
I had an Alaskan Malamute when I was writing the film. A very sweet dog, she would always sit next to me when I was writing. And when I'd drive around, she'd sit in the front seat. A Malamute is a very large dog, like 130 pounds and bigger than a human being and very long-haired.
So no, the Wookiees or Chewbacca were not indisputably a mediation of real-world attitudes and ideas about race. George's dog wasn't being alienated or orientalized and so on. He and his co-workers were looking at bears and just making cool and fun stuff. But obviously, Chewbacca was black and coated. Duh. Just like my vanilla ice cream. Put some chocolate sprinkles on and now it's chocolate ice cream. Just like putting cuffs on a Wookiee, he's now symbolically a black guy.
I'm gonna put these on you.
Slavery is bad. Therefore, they're black people. Anyone with a retarded obsession with ice cream would know this. Yup, that's me, proving real-world racist attitudes with diabetes.
After this, the next 10 minutes or so are spent again arguing against the title of my video instead of the contents, as well as misunderstanding what a mole is.
Obi-Wan gets sold out by a literal mole.
Yes.
I refuse
Very
to watch
subtle,
that.
very subtle
Trump
visual
supporter.
storytelling.
Wait,
That
there's no
the
episode
mole
already?
was a literal mole.
Did he have
Mole Man?
a mole on his face as well, like in his Austin Powers skit?
No, he
I
was a
preferred
mole
it when the
person.
people that sold you out were anteaters.
Oh. Hello, and welcome to Explaining the Smudcast with Smudboy, me. Believe it or not, the word mole has 6 different definitions. Human beings can't immediately understand each other when they say words with multiple meanings. Sir Axolot clarified what he was saying because not everyone watched the show. I referred to Austin Powers because that was a pun on the very same word.
I also realize the irony that I am myself a mole.
No one would make that connection.
Yes, the word mole, which simultaneously had 2 different meanings. How serendipitous, because that's how words and human conversations work. This has been Smudboy, and you are hopefully still in grade school.
And hating on Ewan McGregor, because I guess that's what Star Wars fans do now.
If anyone was wondering if Pog does any research, here's your answer.
By your side, there's not a thing you can't achieve.
Every now and then, as a treat. The reason I even mentioned that in the video was that, to begin with, I was writing it as more of a stream of consciousness thing.
James Joyce wrote Finnegan's Wake, perhaps the worst book ever using stream of consciousness. But his other work, Ulysses, written using normal methods, was considered one of the greatest books ever. But sure, blame the technique. He was just winging it. Talking about pointless crap. It's not his fault. So, poor technique, doing no research, and projecting an ideology. Great MO. Keep up the fake outrage over collages.
I literally saw the meme and opened my laptop to start writing. That's how shooketh it got me.
Emotional damage!
Yes, we must destroy the evil collages. Google image search must make Pog psychotic. Wait a second. That's a word?
Shooketh.
Oh my god. Pog, where are you learning your words? Forget touching grass. This man needs to start eating it for 2 weeks. Hey, I glance at my phone and get angry too. That's when it's turned off. Maybe if I slam my phone into my foot, I'll be really angry at myself and make a video about it. But how much of a moron I am. Then go for a coffee. Because I'm a YouTuber. From the wise words of Bears, our resident American buff German black guy.
Here's what you do. Delete Reddit. Delete Reddit!
Why does Pog keep calling this a meme? I know the left can't meme, but Pog can't even seem to identify what a meme is. Maybe he went to Google image search for Moses Ingram meme and just got a collage of images and goes, oh, it's obviously the alt-right. Pog, do you even know what a meme is?
Discuss this same opening trio of sentences. 3 whole minutes.
Pog, that's called communicating to 6 other people in real time. Can he even talk to people? We've asked him, but he doesn't seem to want to. I don't know why. We got Jamocha almond fudge even.
Nobody cares about this motherfucker and his Starbucks coffee. Like, get to the point of the video, you piece of shit.
Ironic.
What's ironic is Pog bleeped out the word retarded, but kept the swear word in. Luckily, my audience isn't retarded, but if Pog's bleeping that word out, seems his might be. You gotta be some kind of special to listen to his videos, so I guess that makes sense. Which means I'm retarded. Oh my god, it's logic. Wow. But words don't actually bother me, because I got my vanilla. And I get plenty of irony in that.
I'm kind of retarded.
These are far from the only inaccurate observations or insults thrown my way during these videos. They just opened the floodgate.
Can anyone point to one inaccurate observation we made? I'm sure we're not perfect, but I'm also sure we're just going off the nonsense of what Pog said.
I found this section where these guys are just losing their fucking minds over a link I made between the roles Tusken Raiders play in the original Star Wars films and the roles Native Americans often played in the Western genre.
Nope, Pog didn't say that. He said this.
From the othered savages of the 70s standing in as they did for the similarly suspect depictions of Native Americans in the Western genre.
Pog said the Tuskens are standing in for Native Americans, as in a substitute for, because that's what words mean. Seems Pog forgot what he said. But Tuskens never were designed or meant to be the role of Native Americans in the Western genre.
I started off with the Tusken Raiders' faces wrapped up with broap. Then I thought they should have some sort of goggles on. And this mouthpiece is sort of a filter because of their having constant sandstorms.
I wanted the Tusken Raiders to be sort of like Bedouins, but at the same time very strange and mechanical. You look at that painting. And you say, oh yeah, Bedouins. Then you look again and say, wait a minute. Those aren't Bedouins.
Pog, do you do any research on yourself?
Like to be able to... Anyway.
And yeah, I'm sure the Bedouin were part of the inspiration for the Tusken Raiders, but there aren't any Bedouins in Western films, which is what I'm talking about in this sentence.
Tusken Raiders were based off the Bedouins, not Native Americans, nor their role in the Western genre. Pog wasn't talking about that in the sentence. And oh, the Western genre do have Bedouins.
You're wrong! You're wrong! You're wrong!
Like, come on, it's beyond common knowledge that the Western genre was one of the primary touchstones the original Star Wars films, particularly A New Hope, drew from.
And your point is...
Star Wars' Tusken Raiders are a mishmash of different influences and ideas, one of which is undoubtedly the structural role these othered depictions of Native Americans played in many classic Western films. But like, these guys think that the Tusken Raiders map one-to-one onto an existing cultural group, and that I'm racist because I picked the wrong one-to-one match. Yep, and apparently I'm the one who's projecting here.
Ironic.
I'm not bringing these up to fish for sympathy though. I'm doing so to make explicit the way that this whole shtick is underwritten not by objective analysis, but by bad faith assumptions.
Wow, I didn't know my About page influenced people on the Smudcast. Does that mean everyone I bring on is just like me? If I kept it blank, what would Pog even say? But sure, third time's a charm. Keep referencing it, because you have nothing to base your opinion on? Oh, and I'm still waiting for some kind of bad faith example we made. The only one inventing a narrative and projecting it is Pog. He did it with an innocuous collage, Moses' comments, the Wookiees, the Tuskens, and now us. all because a bunch of people called him out on his bullshit.
By bad faith assumptions. Wow, I wonder if that principle's more widely applicable to the way these guys engage with media.
Ironic.
It's not just directed at me though, there's a whole litany of toxic comments and outright slurs dropped by Smudboy and friends, even in the first half an hour or so that I sat through.
Here's statements from the first half hour of the episode. Apparently Pog can't understand these simple words and questions, because that would force him to listen.
Mistake of opening Reddit, where I had the misfortune of seeing this post from r/Star Wars at the top of my screen. In case you've got this on in the background,
what's wrong with pointing out obvious things?
Obi-Wan is going to bring the most diversity I think we've ever seen in the galaxy before. To me, it's
incorrect.
Presented out of context, without any link provided to the original article. I wonder if the rest of the article will be...
Do you really need more context to that quote? Really?
With the post being titled, "Has she not watched a Star Wars movie?"
No, she hasn't. I mean, it's pretty clear the
answer
is no.
Really got under my...
Ahsoka Tano in The Mandalorian for a few episodes?
Yes.
Yeah.
And she's like
the one good thing.
Yes, she is orange. She's also a squid.
Orange skinned, and she's a female. She's a fan favorite.
Like Donald Trump.
Like they said, there's 20 million sentient species in the galaxy. So there's room for everyone at the table.
Yeah,
but I don't think
I like the phrasing of it, though.
Hashtag we resist.
And the only thing that makes me that this sentence there on the screen makes me think of is that these black people are racists, not humans. Yes. These black people, these black supremacists, they always act as if there have never been black people on screen ever in 100 years. They're the first ones, they're breaking alarms, they're treading new ground, they're changing the world, and every single one of them. And that is what this post is about. Because this is bullshit. And nobody believes this advertisement campaign. Like, why? Why would anyone?
Excuse me, sir. Can I also add that the YouTuber is saying that all these people are taking it for granted that there are black people on the screen. Yet it's actually the opposite side are taking these black people for granted to pretend as if their existence means nothing.
It depends, because when kids watch a show like this or a movie like this, they're not counting how many black people or white people or this or that. They're going, "Oh, cool! Look at that alien! Oh, look at that, a lightsaber!" They're not, concerned with any of this shit.
What matters is the character written well, or the other characters written well, is the story written well, and surprise, surprise, the answer to all of these questions is no.
You know why he's not telling you how it's wrong?
Because he sets up a safe space for all of these races to come together.
Plenty of topics to mention there, but Pog never addressed those, because then he'd be forced to back up his words instead of his projected narrative.
In between claims that Disney's the real one stoking the toxicity, that there's no such racism problem in Star Wars, and that they're the ones being gaslit, the Chudcast are doing things like blatantly lying about the contents of the hate messages Moses Ingram made public.
And it's always exactly 2 DMs, by the way.
That half wasn't even racist. It was just like, no, you're not the first black person. That's not a racism.
This is the message he's talking about, by the way. I've censored the slur, but yeah, it's the one you think it is.
Here's the actual Instagram DM from a black guy. Context matters. In this case, who's saying the words? Why is Pog so scared of other people's words? What is up with this childish censorship? Did the N-word hurt him and his pathetic audience? In case anyone was born yesterday, when a black guy says the N-word, it's not racist. Or is Pog accusing a black guy of hating himself? Because that would be called something else.
What seems pedantic or nitpicky to some, Smudboy merely considers being a good editor.
Meaningless about page reference number 4. Pog, what are you doing, buddy? Are you okay?
Apparently there's no racism whatsoever in this message. Gee, it's almost like Disney isn't responsible for the fans being racist pricks after all.
The only racist pricks are those that don't shut up about racism and invent narratives where no racism exists.
But yeah, after a while of this, I pretty much just stopped watching it, especially since it had become obvious that they weren't even engaging with my video, not in any way that counts.
I've shown in this video comments and questions we made which were reasonably valid, if hard to hear at times. We went word for word, Pog. Pog simply didn't listen. We did this for more than 5 hours. We gave him a gift. Whether he listened to it or not, well, that's not our problem.
They were more playing it in 10-second increments and then picking up on a word or idea mentioned in those increments and going on unhinged, loosely related rants to rile up their chat and keep the donations trickling in.
Isn't Pog's entire career on YouTube not exactly a moral high ground to stand or hide upon? What's exactly immoral about super chats anyway, Mr. Full-Time YouTuber? My friends and I do this for fun. In our off hours from our real jobs. I can stop anytime. They don't get paid to do this. But I'm not here to brag. Super chats exist so people can get involved. Some of the people who gave super chats are on the panel. I try to read all of these out. Some people like donations outside of YouTube. I read those out too. In case anyone has ever noticed, we only get maybe 20 to 60 concurrent viewers a podcast. It's not that big. You're looking anywhere from 50 Canadian bucks to, nothing. And I tend to shun super chats and donations anyway because it usually extends or detracts from the conversation. But yeah, I'm totally in it for the money.
It's a shit.
That nice guy part, the little olive branch, that's completely and utterly empty if it's the prelude to a 5-hour podcast you've set up in which a big group of angry bigots takes turns shitting on me and my content.
Well, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions, what's up?
At least this whole saga goes to show that my channel's grown enough, and that the content's hitting sufficiently close to home to have elevated my brand to that critical mass where it drives 7 weirdos to sit in a voice call for 5 hours while actually ink my content.
Pog, your entire channel is you going, actually, and then inventing a narrative that doesn't exist from your insane ideology. Why can't you take the criticism, buddy? Here's an insane example, which took me 1 minute to find, of Pog's ridiculous interpretations and projections.
Let me explain to you in 1 minute why the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe might actually be conservative propaganda.
No, the MCU is not conservative propaganda.
According to Augusto Boal's reading of Aristotle...
Oh, from a Marxist trying to interpret Aristotle. That'll go well.
The fundamental purpose of Western drama has always been political in nature, the idea being that catharsis and resolution are weaponized to quell subversive thought or popular discontent. We see this across the MCU.
No, Disney made those movies to make money, not to quell political discontent or prevent some conservatives from rebelling. What are you on about?
If we look at Civil War, treating Tony as a tragic hero whose flaw is overly emotional decision-making, then his downfall at the film's end also uses catharsis to covertly suggest that his support for the Sokovia Accords and the threat they pose to the liberal-minded status quo symbolized by Captain America is similarly mistaken.
Films don't use catharsis. You would have known that if you A, understood what the word catharsis means, and B, actually read Augusto's Theater of the Oppressed. Heck, you didn't even have to read it. He gave you a diagram that shows catharsis occurs at the audience's level. It's not a literary or stage technique. No writer writes the catharsis. And this is why Pog really isn't even worth talking to, let alone listening to. He doesn't have the vocabulary. But anyone can see and hear that, considering his fear of words and fear of talking to people who simply disagree with him. Yes, he can call us childish or bad faith or sad or whatever, but we both know who's right and who's wrong. And really, all 29 MCU movies are conservative propaganda because Captain America is a classic liberal from woke Disney. What?
As far as I'm concerned though, this video isn't me starting YouTube beef or anything, it's me ending it. Because when the inevitable Smudboy comments and additional instances of content reuse start to roll in, it'd be pretty easy for me to carry on engaging and keep pointing out the massive L's these clowns are taking.
Says the guy who can't have a conversation, is failing multiple times in this video, can't reply to simple comments and questions on his own videos, and is scared of words. His own words, in fact. Face it, Pog, you can't defend yourself and your projections because you know they're fake. You'll get destroyed. And he knows it.
And you know, maybe there is some critical flaw in my worldview or my videos that Smudboy uncovered in his 5-hour odyssey of self-fellatio, but if that is the case, I'll never know.
And Pog will always remain an ignorant ideologue who can't take criticism from multiple attempts. I've given Pog 6 videos, 6 GIFs really, 3 podcasts, and 3 normal videos like this. I've tried to make some fun, but they're so tedious and Pog's childishness is pathetic. He just won't learn. We're not going to change his mind. No one will, even if we talked to him and pointed out all of his mistakes. He simply won't care, and we all know this. All we can do with people like this is point out their flaws and have fun with their insane ramblings. That's all they're good for, because they're clowns.
So I'm gonna wrap this video up and get back to making actual content. And if you're watching this, Smudboy, maybe you should give that a try sometime.
I would say you're welcome, Pog, again, but we know it's all falling on deaf ears if you even bothered to watch this. Oh look, there's Exile Studios again, telling Pog that I made a video. Looks like Pog never watched that 23-minute one. Oh darn. Which is weird because he seems to think that Moses watched the Star Wars movies. Even though we know that's false, she only focused on the prequels. And he only would have gotten that information if he watched my video. Of course, he screwed that up too, because he's implying she watched all 12 of them.
I mainly just focused on the prequels. I had never seen the movies.
Pog, welcome to the long list of insane Marxists who have nothing to contribute to society and make money by lying.